Good, good morning, and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is remembrances. And we get to look at how the way that we remember people in our lives impacts our present and our future, the stories that we tell. So before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub those hands together, feel the friction, the energy, the electricity moving between your palms, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So it's the beginning of a new week. And today is the anniversary of my dad's death. And he died on this day in 2017. And I thought this is a great opportunity to discuss remembrances and in honor of him, and to look at how the way that we remember someone impacts the way that we be, and impacts who we are or how we see ourselves. And so particularly with intimate relationships, we have a spectrum of experience to choose from in our memorializing or remembering of someone. When we think of the word remembering, it's like reassembling our memories. And we have positives and negatives, and it's all part of the impact that that person had in our lives. And all those parts are instrumental in shaping the influence that that person had on us. So we get to see it all, and I think that this is important in looking at our lives, that it's not all unicorns and rainbows, right? And it's not all darkness and despair. And so in my case, my dad was a very complicated. My relationship with my dad was complex. Let's say that it was complex. And there's so much that I admired about him, and also things I held with disdain. And, the things that I see in me, the way that I carry him forward in the world is through some of the things that I so deeply, I hope, through some of the things that I so deeply admired. He was an adventurer in so many ways. And he was he was a veterinarian, and I think it's through my dad that I gained an appreciation for our furry, feathered, scaled creatures in the world. He in his adventurousness, we had the opportunity to be introduced to all different kinds of exotic animals. So I got to play with boa constrictors and skunks and leopard cubs and dolphins, and he exposed me, and monkeys. He exposed me to so many things that are rather unique gifts to have been blessed to experience. And we traveled a bit, and he was also an adventurer when it came to food. So I tasted all kinds of foods that many people have never heard of. And so it broadened my taste, and it broadened my openness to experience, to new experience. And that adventurousness is something that I've taken to the arena of thought as well, to be willing to entertain thoughts and ideas that might not be part of the convention, even though he was in so many respects very, very conservative and conventional in his thinking. And there was a lot of love and a lot of friction that we experienced. And I just look at the legacy for me in my life that he created, that forwards me. I think a lot of my boldness is a function of needing to stand solidly in the face of our disagreements, learning to hold my ground, learning to not be intimidated by powerful oppositional energies. So even the places where, or maybe even especially the places where we had our challenges, were places of growth and definition for me. Learning to be able to think for myself, and to not just defend, but to find courage in my own convictions. It's ironic in so many ways that my courageousness in thought comes from him, and I believe in so many ways, and yet it was a source of great contention between us, because we definitely thought differently about so many things. Good morning, Bernadette. Welcome. It's so great to have you here with us this morning. Today we're talking about remembrances, and this is prompted by the anniversary of my dad's death 5 years ago. and looking at how we choose to remember or reconstruct people and experiences in our lives. And good morning, Gia. So good to have you here with us. Welcome. And what I'm wanting to share with you guys, or have you share, is how we choose to remember people. And so, there was a lot of woundedness in my relationship with my dad through my life. And now that he's passed, I get to be in a place of appreciation for all of it. And to recognize that even our difficulties, and maybe even especially our difficulties, help to shape me to become the person that I am, and to feed not only my weaknesses, but my strengths. So good morning, Elaine. So good to have you here with us this morning. Welcome. Bernadette just says, I just celebrated the passing of my grandmother 10 years ago. She would have been 102 yesterday. Wow. Happy birthday to your grandmother, Bernadette. It's interesting how we choose to celebrate people's or remember people on their death rather than their birthday, typically as a culture. And for my dad's birthday, his birthday was August 20th, so he died 9 days after his 91st birthday. For a minute, I was thinking, was it his 92nd birthday? But it was his 91st birthday. And for his birthday, I celebrated that by going to the shore with a friend who I'd not seen for a long time. And he lived at the shore and he loved the ocean and the water, and he was an avid fisherman. And anyway, so it's remarkable. I congratulations, Bernadette, for celebrating her birthday, not just a day of her death. And it's interesting to see how we receive how people shape us, because the trials and tribulations we have with people can shape us in really powerfully positive ways too. So Bernadette says, I remember many talks of what she experienced throughout her life, like technology and trends, really eye-opening. Yeah, I had the gift of my one grandmother living till almost 95 years old. And Bernadette says, I don't make her passing date ever a priority. Well, beautiful to celebrate her birth, right? And so to be experienced, Elaine says, beautiful, blissful blessings all. To experience and celebrate your grandmother's birth, or in this case, my father's birth, and his remembrance on the date of his death. I think there's tremendous power in presencing ourselves to the ways we've been shaped, and through the stories we tell, we continue to shape and reshape ourselves. So in recognizing the challenges, oh my gosh, Bernadette says, my other grandma was 105 and dancing every Wednesday evening. Wow. That's the second tale of a dancing grandma I've heard. A friend of mine has a grandmother who's 101 and still dancing. Remarkable. I'd be happy to live to 101 if I'm still dancing. Otherwise, I'm ready to go whenever, rather than being of failed health and carried on by mechanical means, for example. My dad was ready to go when he was ready to go. He was just like, okay, enough. He wasn't who he remembered himself to be. His health was really failing and he didn't have quality of life. And rather than prolong it, he just wanted to be gone. And he elected to go into hospice rather than pursue other life prolonging or existence prolonging measures. And I really respect that in him, frankly. Bernadette says, I'll dance in the clouds and not wanting to be bionic in this world. Yeah, I hear that. Bernadette. Yeah, so really, really interesting to be looking at how the way we choose to remember someone honors not only them, but ourselves. So when I honor the fact that my dad and I had a lot of contention in our relationship, I recognize not only that, but the lovely things. He was so generous in so many ways. And I'm profoundly grateful for that and for the strength that he called forth in me. Truly, like that's probably that, the adventure, the solidity that has evolved in me is due in no small part to the challenges that he faced me with. So I'm tremendously grateful for that. And, I think that we have the ability in our remembrances to transform the pain we may have experienced into strength and character. And Bernadette, that's an understatement. So Bernadette says, sounds like you had a dad of passion and made you go outside your comfort zone. Yeah, I would say that, like on an ongoing basis. So, that's a gift, right? That's something that I can be grateful for. Because I guess I due to those experiences ongoingly with my dad and my mom, I have gotten much more comfortable with discomfort, right? So I'm not intimidated. Well, that's another thing, is that I'm not easily intimidated. And my dad could be a very intimidating presence. Yeah, so adventure and appreciation for, I think we shared an appreciation for beauty, though we might not have defined it in the same way. He was an avid photographer, and it was always a competition with my dad. He was just an extremely he was an extremely competitive person, and he had a definite superiority complex. So that was really, really challenging. I think that it made me ultimately become more present to my own strengths, my own gifts in some way. Bernadette says, I would verbalize to my dad, bring it on, LOL. Yep. It was so funny. My dad and I would play gin, the card game gin. And he was always shocked when I'd beat him, and there were times when, like initially, I could never beat him, and he just believed that anytime I beat him, it was luck. It was very funny. So Bernadette, thank you for speaking this way. Bernadette says, did it bring bitter or better? And that's our choice. That's our choice. There were times in my life where it definitely brought bitter. And at this moment, I think I'm able to say it brought better because I'm bringing that to the relationship. Like we get to choose how we integrate, how we remember people and experiences. And some of the toughest experiences of our lives are experiences of passage, where our mettle is tested, where we're challenged to rise or not. And we get to choose how we use those experiences. I get to decide if it brought bitter or better. I get to decide how to integrate those experiences, right? How to carry myself forward into life and look at how even the challenges were gifts to me in that they required me to grow in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise grown. It's like a tree doesn't gain its strength without the wind to create that resistance, And so Bernadette says, did the transition happen when he passed? It wasn't an easy transition, Bernadette. So thank you for asking that. I think the transition is still happening. It wasn't just an epiphany where everything was beautiful. And there were lots of very, very complex emotions to sort through, because in our interactions, we have a lot of feelings associated with those interactions. So there were feelings about not feeling good about myself also that came out of that relationship that I got to evolve beyond. It's been a journey, and I would say it still is. I'm still recognizing the gifts that he gave me. I'm still growing into the gifts that he gave me or that he planted the seeds for. So we get to transform our trials and tribulations into triumphs. That's something that we do. So this is what it is to have a living memory of someone. To keep them alive is to keep their memory and their impact transforming and growing. So Bernadette says, what is your happiest memory? And I don't know, but I can say that when I read that question, a memory arises of being in elementary school, and I had gone to a very small all-girls school for most of my education, and my dad would bring animals from the Academy of Natural Science to do an assembly to share all these animals with people. He brought a possum, and I think he brought a skunk and a snake, and I don't know for sure. I don't remember vividly which specific animals, but I have an image of him that came out of nowhere as you asked that question, of him walking down, from the stage through the audience with these animals for people to pet them and experience them, for the kids to experience them. It was a small school from kindergarten through 12th grade, and only a couple hundred kids in the whole school. So yeah, that was my memory that popped into my head. And there's so many memories. He was a very unusual person. And I had a lot of hurt and resentment from growing up that has been transmuting, thankfully, into a deeper appreciation as I grow and heal and become more whole. My appreciation and memory for him also becomes richer and more whole. So it's an evolution. Our relationship is still evolving, which is a wonderful gift. So Bernadette says, it's lovely when you can see another's passion bring joy to others. It is. And so with that, remembrances, I invite you to look at your memories and maybe how you can reframe and recontextualize them to be a gift, even if they, in the moment they occurred, may not have been. So with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern. And good morning, Dido. So glad to have you here with us this morning. And I invite you guys to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World Network, EWN, One with the Earth, and Enlightened World Living. And until next time, I have such deep gratitude and appreciation to you for sharing these conversations and these moments of exploration and discovery. So until next time, so much love to you.